I'm John Davis. I work in the information services upstairs in the computer area and nonfiction area. I'm here today to talk about Pat Barker's book, Regeneration. It was published in the early 90s. It's a book about World War I and what happened to the soldiers during the war. When I was in graduate school, I had a professor and it was on his reading list. I could not put it down when I started reading this book. Not only the story, but just the way that the author writes it. It's lovely. She has a very fluid style, very suggestive without being over the top. But there are moments when she shows it like it is. I mean, it's World War I battlefield, trenches, horror. But her writing is such that we see the impact of the combat, not necessarily the gore of the combat. And the impact on the characters is what's important. We follow a handful of characters who are based on real people. We have Siegfried Sassoon, who is a lieutenant in the British Army. We have Wilfred Owen, who is also a lieutenant. Both of them end up becoming two of the preeminent World War I poets. We also are following Dr. Rivers, who was a psychotherapist for the British Army. All these are real people. And through them, we see the effects that war does have, or can have, on the people who are involved and who have to fight and have to suffer through what happens. I like this book because I am a World War I buff. I like how Pat Barker, our author, follows these characters into these situations, and she doesn't show the combat per se. She shows the after effects of the combat and the traumatic moments that the soldiers have after. It's a really character-driven study of real people in real time. And there's a lot of parallels I can see between that time period and the time period that we're going through now. The trauma of then and the trauma of now, they kind of parallel each other in some ways. I would suggest this book because it is a character study of real people in a real situation. What Pat Barker does is she shows us how their interactions reflect and drive their poetic voice to create the verse that they do. Wilfred Owen started out in his poetry with just basic love sonnets and things like that, but when he gets involved in the war and when he meets with Lieutenant Sassoon, Siegfried Sassoon, and they start working on their poetry together, you start to see how the literature of the time turns from the pretty to the realistic. So if you're interested in how life can influence an artist, especially traumatic moments in life, you'll see that in this book. You should read it because it's great. I don't know.